Hello, BookTube. It was a nice, warm, beautiful, sunny, summery Monday. Uh, the temperature's almost warm enough so that I feel comfortable all the time, everywhere, so that I don't dread walking into the deep shadows of a building or anything like that. I have definitely changed. Definitely changed. For most of my life, I would have been complaining about this weather nonstop, even though it's a perfectly fine, low humidity, high warmth summer day. It's not even really high warmth. There are places all over my magical weather app. I have a weather app on my phone, and I have programmed into it all of the places on Earth where I have lived, so that on any given day I can look at the weather in all of those places where I will never see again. And most of those places today are considerably hotter than Boston. So I shouldn't really. I'm not complaining at all, especially since tomorrow is predicted to be even hotter. So that'd be really nice. But I got back. I went out and did a few errands. I got back and there was some mail, so I thought we'd go through it together. It ends in a box, and the box makes me suspicious. Also ends in an envelope, a priority mail envelope that also makes me suspicious. I'm suspecting that this mail haul might be another one that includes gifts from you to me. When, as we've covered on this channel, the natural order of things is for the gifts to go from me to you. So that could be weird. So if that's true, I should warn you ahead of time, but that there could be high-pitched squealing involved in this mail haul. But I assume you go to mail hauls with that warning in your head anyway, because I'm not hard to please I'm not hard to excite when it comes to new books. I don't have I'm not a niche reader. I don't have narrow interests, so a lot of things can please me. So let's see what happens this time around. Okay. All right. Where have I seen this before? This is late getting to me. This is a late June book. About the book, about the authors. Okay. All right. There's their publicity date tour. Okay. Do you want to tell me anything about the book itself? No. Pulling out all the stops on Facebook. A multi-city tour, robust social media presence. How about the book? How about the book? You want to tell me anything about the book? Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Good. I'm trying to remember where I saw this. Did I see it on SFF 180? Did Thomas already hold this thing up? He might have. It looks like a science fiction novel. This is James Murray and Darren Wearmouth, and it is The Brink, an awakened novel. And that cover is quite arresting. What have we got here? This is the sequel to the international bestseller Awakened, which I do not have. Oh my. By one of the stars of True TV's Impractical Jokers. I don't know what any of that means. And a best-selling science fiction author. So this is a collaboration between the two of them. And one of them is not an author. And one of them is. James Murray is an actor best known as Murr on the hit television show Impractical Jokers. Okay, if you say so. Let's see here. Former New York City Mayor Tom Cafferty has been haunted by the horror of a single day, the opening of a brand new Z train subway line beneath the Hudson River, the supposed shining moment of his tenure. But the ribbon-cutting ceremony turned deadly when the train carrying Cafferty's wife and other citizens was attacked by a horde of hyper-intelligent, bloodthirsty creatures previously unknown to humanity. Unknown to humanity? That's the Bridge and Tunnel crowd. Everybody knows them. Everything changed for Cafferty, the ex-NYPD officer Sarah Bocut, and the tech expert Diego Munoz that day. They had uncovered the deadly truth. The attack was no accident. Attacks seldom are. And now the creatures that wreaked havoc underneath New York have spread worldwide. And with a massive cover-up and a secret organization holding nations hostage with the knowledge of how to kill them, Cafferty's team must fight against impossible odds to save the entire planet from an apocalyptic scale disaster. Okay. Okay, well, I clearly want to get Awakened. I will try and do that. Because I don't think I read it. It doesn't ring a bell at all. I would have cracked wise about it, I'm sure. A brand new Z train subway line beneath the Hudson River. You're asking for one-liners when you premise a book like that. I mean, have you looked at the news? Have you looked at people's complaints about what the New York City subway system is like these days? Your average New Yorker hearing that there are super intelligent, savage, criminal creatures underneath, this new Z train wouldn't have any questions at all about the creatures or how to kill them. Their only question would be, yeah, but is it, how's the timetable? Is it always late? Is the new killer monster Z train always late? Or, can I maybe work that in as a substitution for the A, B, or C that are always late and always overcrowded and never air conditioned? So, your average New Yorker, I think, wouldn't care. They'd be willing to risk savage, bloodthirsty monsters underneath the tracks if the train actually ran on time. I'm gonna have to see if I can get a copy of Awaken. It doesn't sound to me like it sounds to me I'm gonna get a lot more out of this thing if I read the one before it. Okay, so what is this next one? What is this? Oh, look at all this extra paperwork. Okay, so I don't need that. Oh my god, and I don't need that either. All right, so I just need this one thing. This comes out in September from the great folks at Europa Editions. And this is After the War by Hervé Lecour, translated from the French by Sam Taylor. There's not much to look at, but it's a big, thick thing that's coming out in September from Europa. And it's set in 1950s Bordeaux. This is another historical novel. A city scarred by memory of World War II. Across the ocean, another war has already begun. The young men of France are sent in droves to Algeria, where they wage battle in a crucial conflict so new it has yet to be given a name. Veteran police chief Albert Darlac will soon discover that not everyone has forgiven or forgotten his wartime indiscretions, his close collaboration with fascist chief among them. Meanwhile, under a burning North African sun, 20-year-old Daniel is haunted by stories of massacres and mutilations, ambushes and patrols. The atrocious loss of his parents and sisters during World War II remains a wound waiting to be reopened. A series of explosive events will unite Darlac and Daniel's destinies in this uncompromising masterpiece set in a world driven by vengeance. And the author was born in Paris and currently teaches in the suburbs of Bordeaux. He's the author of several crime novels, including Talking to Ghosts. I guess Talking to Ghosts was translated into English in 2014. And he also writes for the literary magazine Le Passant Ordinaire. And this comes out as a $20 paperback in September. It sounds extremely intriguing. I wonder when did Hervé write this thing? 2014? Yeah, 2014. Okay, so I'm going to be curious to know whether or not the translator, Sam Taylor, is going to feel in the room. That's always a question with translated contemporary literature. You wonder if the translator is going to feel clingy. So I will report back. I love Europa Editions, just love them. So they have an extremely good track record with me, and as I've mentioned on this channel before, that track record means a lot. It probably shouldn't. Probably you should take every book, just cold on its merits. But despite all evidence to the contrary, despite no sense of touch, broad daylight, accurate night vision, no typable blood type, 2 hours a night sleep, and the ability to communicate with an unhuman species, I am, after all, only human. So that's what you're talking about, my sense of smell, my sense of hearing. Two of my claims that are actually extensively documented. I am, after all, only quasi-human, and that positive history does mean something to me. If a publisher has pleased me many times, it means they've got good people doing the editorial choices. Okay, so all right, let's move on here. Next, this is a tall, thick, or thin envelope. Let's see what this one is. Uh-oh. Cue Sean the Book Maniac. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. This is new from Grove Atlantic. It comes out in as another paperback. It's another $20 paperback, $16. Comes out in December, and it is by Perumal Murugan, and it is the story of a goat. This is the author of One Part Woman, and that's where Sean the Book Maniac comes in, because he liked the book and I didn't. And that has caused nothing but trouble in the bedroom ever since. So let's see here. Last year, Perumal Murugan's One Part Woman was longlisted for the National Book Award in Translated Literature, a remarkable feat considering the book has been torched in the street by right-wing Hindu groups for its depiction of a religious festival in which a married woman might sleep with other men. But quite apart from being longlisted for the Booker, it was also praised by one of our best booktubers. That means a lot more. I firmly believe that in an upcoming decade, that will be widely acknowledged to mean a lot more. And I didn't like it. I saw all sorts of flaws where Sean saw strengths. Now we have another book. Let's see here. Perumal Murugan is dead, the author wrote on Facebook, and seemed to have quit writing altogether. But thankfully, the Madras High upheld Murugan's freedom of expression, and afterwards the author wrote this book in a 3-month flash of inspiration. In that moment, pushing aside all the confusions, dilemmas, and sorrows I had experienced so far, the author said, a great joy filled my being. The reason was Punichai, the black goat of the title, one presumes. In this brilliant novel, oh, come now. You just said that it took 3 months to write. Well, anyway, in this brilliant novel, Murugan tells the story of a helpless young goat lost in a world it naively misunderstands. A farmer in Tamil Nadu is watching the sunset over his village one evening when a mysterious stranger, a giant man, appears on the horizon. He offers the farmer a black kid goat, the runt of the litter, surely too frail to survive. The farmer and his wife take care of the young she-goat, whom they name Punuchai, and soon the little goat is bounding with joy and growing prodigiously. Like almost all animals who find an unexpected home with reluctant owners, she is slowly but surely welcomed. Clearly not a basset hound. Passages from the goat's perspective offer a body and earthy view of animal existence and a refreshing portrayal of the natural world. Okay. All right. So this is December. We have a long time left. It could be that between now and December 10th, when this thing's scheduled publication date, it could be that Sean, the aforementioned Book Maniac, will not only acquire this book, but bail on it. It could be. So we're gonna hold off on any kind of permanent judgment and see. But that One Part Woman, that book, I pay attention to a whole bunch of booktubers. I might not seem it because I don't do Last Week in Booktube anymore, but I pay attention to a whole bunch of booktubers. There are a whole bunch of people on Booktube that I pay attention to for all sorts of different aesthetic judgment calls. You know, I know I may come off as a steely, confident, super sexy 28-year-old, but nevertheless, I question my own opinions all the time, and I pay attention. That's what Booktube is for. I pay attention once I have watched somebody in video after video. Then I get a sense of, okay, this person's really good at reading that, or at reading that, and sometimes on a handful of channels, I watch them and I get the impression, okay, not only is this person really good at reading that, they're better at reading that than you are. So you should pay attention to them and maybe learn something, and certainly question your own judgment if you don't like something and they do, and it's one of those things. Okay, so Sean is definitely one of those booktubers, so I will go into. I don't think there's any hope for his other book. I tried it. I tried it in an advanced copy that I got, just raw, and then I tried it in the finished copy that I got, and I did not like it at all. So I'm gonna give this author another try. And I'm going to have BookTube's own Empress of Bailings in mind the whole time I do. So let's move on here. Let's see. What's this next one? Oh my. Oh goodness gracious. Okay, this is from W.W. Norton, one of my favorite publishers. And this is another Trump book. There's been just an endless supply of them. And I have read pretty much all of them. I've read a vast number of Trump books. This comes out in early September. It is by Robert Kuttner, and it is The Stakes, 2020 and the Survival of American Democracy. That's what it's going to look like. And the pub sheet says, "Will American democracy survive Donald Trump? Not if he is reelected," warns Robert Kuttner in this important new book. It's just as simple as that. It says that American democracy will not survive Donald Trump being reelected. In the stakes, Kuttner takes stock of the damage done to our democracy so far and what could happen in a second Trump term. He examines whether constitutional restraints against Trump's attacks on the norms of democracy are likely to hold, exploring the roots of Trumpism. Kuttner exposes the errors of not only Republicans but also Democrats to combat an economy that was brutally turned against working families and primarily served elites. With the Democrats long having taken a centrist, corporate-beholden stance, neither of the two parties was credibly addressing broad public anxiety, and the support of the premise that government could solve national problems was at an all-time low. As Democrats and the entire nation grapple with the dizzying array of candidates vying to take on Trump in 2020, Kuttner argues here that a progressive Democrat has a better chance than a centrist of winning the presidency in the current political environment. I don't think that statement could be any more wrong. And I think that if enough people in the higher ranks of the Democratic Party believe that statement, then Trump will certainly be reelected. But it doesn't matter anyway. As I've said a couple of times now, the 2020 election is not a referendum on Donald Trump, and it's not a referendum on the electability of any Democratic candidate. It's a referendum on the loyalty of the United States Armed Services to the Constitution, to the rule of law. That's what the 2020 election is. No matter who gets the Democratic nomination, no matter who stumbles in the polls, no matter what new and incriminating cases come out, no matter whether or not the nation is taken into a war designed to booster the Democratic side, the Republican side, no matter what, the 2020 election is a referendum on the loyalty of the U.S. armed forces to the Constitution. Because no matter how it comes out, Trump is going to say, if he loses, he's going to say that the election wasn't real and he's not going to cede power. And it's obvious that the Republican Party is not going to make him. You'll have Republican senators who've taken an oath to uphold the laws of the United States of America get up in the well of the Senate and say, well, maybe he shouldn't be made to leave. It does seem unfair to me. I mean, that Mueller investigation took so long, and I think there was a case of voter fraud in Ohio that could be the tip of the iceberg. I think we caught one voter fraud in Ohio. So that election of 250 million people is probably invalid. Maybe he should stay in office. There are going to be plenty of people who are going to do that. And even if Trump loses badly, he is still going to say the election is not legitimate, and he is not going to leave office. The Republicans won't make him do it. And the civic structure in Trump's executive branch will also not make him do it, because they haven't left. It's been 3 years of buffoonery and the whole of the international community laughing at us, and horrible cronyism and laws broken left, right, and center, and children dying in concentration camps. And there have been no principled resignations from the federal government. None whatsoever. Hardly any. A negligible fraction of them. So it's not going to be them either. So the thing that is going to get Donald Trump out of office if he loses in 2020 is going to be the U.S. military. The Secret Service and the D.C. police are going to have to go to the Oval Office and say, sir, it's time to leave. Will they do it? Or will they say, no, he's my guy, and I've got a gun? That's what 2020 is going to be about. Sounds very stark, but we're that close. We're on the precipice. We have a candidate who has said repeatedly in the last 2 years that he will not accept the results of the election unless he wins, and that if he wins, he plans on staying for a long time, longer than a normal two-term. He's talked many times about staying in office forever. He's also talked many times off record with advisors who have leaked that even if he himself personally leaves the Oval Office, he would like to leave it to a child of his. Well, we have a word for that, and America exists because it revolted against that system. So what 2020 is going to amount to is, will the people who have guns force him to leave office? Will they do it? And we will see. But it won't have anything to do with centrism or progressivism or anything like that. The Democrats will have their slugfest. They will do their best to kneecap their chances of fielding a great candidate. Someone who could legitimately beat Trump. They will do their best to do that. They've already started. And then there'll be an election. In my opinion, I don't think the election will be close. I think I know exactly how this is going to go, for what it's worth, for what my prognostications are worth. I think that in 2020 we're going to see an exact duplicate of what happened in 2016. I think that Bernie Sanders is going to be the clear Democratic frontrunner, packing in auditoriums and getting out huge amounts of the popular vote, and that the Democratic caucus is going to rig the whole business for somebody else, whether it's Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg or somebody else. Somebody who seems more like a team player, somebody who caucuses with them on a reliable basis, somebody who's not an extremist in their view. And because of that lack of unity and because of that last-minute backstabbing, they'll hand the election to the Republicans. I think that's what happened in 2016. Bernie Sanders was by far the more popular candidate of the two Democratic frontrunners, and the Democratic machinery just gave the whole of it to Hillary Clinton, even though they knew perfectly well they had seen her likability numbers were cratered. They were as low as you could get, even with committed Democrats who would hold their nose and vote for a Democratic candidate on Election Day. And of course they did. They voted, far more people voted for Hillary Clinton than voted for Donald Trump. But it could have been a popular mandate. It could have been a resounding defeat. In the, not only at the polls, but in the Electoral College, it could have been. Bernie Sanders would probably have delivered that. I think he will be poised in 2020 to do the exact same thing, and I think the Democratic Party will react the exact same way. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I am. It's not going to matter, because Trump has already signaled to the whole world that he's extremely open to cheating to win. And the Democratic Party is still signaling to the whole world, and also very much making it a rule in their own caucus, that they will not cheat. That we will take the high road here. So we shall see. My point buried in all there is that I will, of course, read the Stakes 2020 and see what it has to say. So let's move on. Let's move on to this next one. Get off this political talk. Let's hope this next one is not political. Oh no! Oh my! Oh goodness! No, it's not political. Oh my! It's lovely. Okay. All right. This is from Restless Books. This comes out in paperback, I believe. Yeah, probably paperback in July. This comes out right around the corner. This is another paperback release. I'm assuming because the price is $22. And although that's highway robbery, that is a paperback price these days. This is Night and Day by Virginia Woolf. This is Restless Books giving us a lovely, you've got the French flaps, nice flexible binding, a lovely reprinting of Virginia Woolf's Night and Day. What have we got here? What are you going to say about this new up-and-comer Virginia Woolf? When she published her second novel, Night and Day, in 1919, Virginia Woolf was excoriated for writing a seemingly traditional novel, one that ignores Britain's entrance into modernity and the horrors of World War I. What about it provoked such a reaction, to the point where it goes unrecognized even today? On its surface, Night and Day reads like a Shakespearean comedy. We follow the romantic endeavors of two friends, Catherine Hilberry and Mary Datchet, as love is confessed and rebuffed, weddings planned and cancelled, until we finally arrive at two engagements. But these dramas play out against the women's movement for voting rights and equal wages. Just as Woolf makes use of the tropes of romantic comedy, she pushes back against them with an undercurrent of doubt about the institution of marriage and the civic imbalance between the sexes. The Virginia Woolf of Night and Day is every bit as brilliant, sharp, funny, and imbued with a deep love of language as in her celebrated works Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse. That's quite the claim. What makes Night and Day so remarkable is its devotion to real life. In Woolf's vision, there are no happy endings, no sad ones, only a dark tides of water endlessly moving. Okay, all right, okay. So this is a 100-year anniversary release of Night and Day by Virginia Woolf, and it is, it's a lovely thing, and it comes out in early July, and it is yet another example on this channel. I have mentioned, oh God, I'm starting to ascend into heaven. Can we do something about the sunlight? Is that any better? Oh God. I've mentioned on this channel many times. I mentioned it just the other day that that thanks to the reprint culture of the American publishing industry, I get older works just in the mail. and I get to consider them, and I also get the chance to write about them without really haunting used bookstores, without doing anything like that. It used to be that I had a big fraction of my reading life was used books, secondhand books, rereads, stuff like this. But, you know, we had Arthur Cussell the other day. Now this is here. I get Penguin Classics in the mail. So it's another example of how I am thoroughly geared for new releases, even when they're new releases of older works. I wonder if I blocked that window. Then you wouldn't be seeing the tree. I wonder if that would work. What if we blocked the window? Oh, God. Oh, that's even worse. See, that works perfectly. But I don't know if that is possible. Is that possible? No. Well, I'm sorry, BookTube. This would work just fine, except I need this hand. So what can we do otherwise? Oh, that's good enough. All right, so now we go to the weird packages. The priority mail envelope and the box, I think, are coming from members of the studio audience. So let's see what this first one is. Oh my God. Oh, good Lord. I wonder if I can show you this. Look at this. Look at this postage on here. Look at that. Is that Sally Ride? Yes, and Scooby-Doo and Wonder Woman. Isn't that awesome? Look at that. I almost don't want to destroy the postage. Here, let's see if we can save it. I would love to make this flap with all these stamps into a bookmark. Let's see if we can do that. What is this? What on earth is this? Yeah, this is definitely from one of you. What on earth? What is this? Oh, look at this. Oh, I got a note. And I got an issue of Back Issue magazine. This is so is this like a comic book industry magazine? Oh my God, it is. Oh, and it's elaborate. It's got glossy pages and tons of artwork. Oh my. Oh, thank you so much. How incredible. This is Back Issue magazine. This was about liberated ladies, and it's got some incredible stuff. Let me show you some of this artwork. Of course, you've got Big Barda, is the first of the liberated ladies, but I think I saw Valkyrie in here as well. Yes, there we go. Come on in, Janet Van Dyne. The revolution's fine. Some of you might be old enough to remember that issue. That was the introduction of Valkyrie, who shows up and convinces the womenfolk in the orbit of Marvel Comics that they are being trod upon and that they should fight the menfolk. You have the Scarlet Witch, you have Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, you have Medusa of the Inhumans, and you have Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. And in that issue, they fight the male Avengers and mop the floor with them. And it was believably done, too. Oh, wow. Oh, man, yeah, there we go. There's Valkyrie. Look at that. Who else is in here? Oh, wow, there's a whole feature on Valkyrie. Fantastic. Oh, and of course, Ms. Marvel. From her original appearance, look at that. That is her original appearance. So John Romita Sr. cover, Ms. Marvel #1. Much like Captain Marvel, on whose costume her own is based, and on whose origin her own is based. Much like the Marvel version of Captain Marvel, she has, right from the beginning, horribly ill-defined powers. But then she moved on. She moved on to become a character called, Warbird, as part of the Avengers, and had some really great story arcs, and is now a primary source of ire among the ranks of Comicsgate. A huge problem with Comicsgate, because they can't stand the character, can't stand the way she's done, and I haven't really enjoyed the way the character's done either myself. Ever since she was rebranded as Captain Marvel, Marvel seems to want to characterize her as the most popular female superhero in the Marvel universe. A point that has been made by Comicsgate, one of the few points they make that I wholeheartedly echo, is that the publisher doesn't get to do that. It's fans who decide what characters will be popular. You don't just keep giving them Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel #1 over and over again to make her popular. The fans have to respond to her. And you might think that fans did because her movie made $1 billion, but there are all sorts of conspiracy theories about that. For instance, in the week of that movie's release, Comicsgate and Comicsgate adjacent fans all over the world were flooding social media with pictures of empty movie theaters, and saying, in a bunch of speculation that has since died down and gone away, that Marvel was fudging the numbers and that it wasn't anywhere near the popular success that it looks like. But in addition to that, people were also saying, well, you could have put a 2-hour movie of someone opening cans of Spam and it would still have made $1 billion because it was the lead into Avengers Endgame. I don't know, one way or another. I don't think you get that many people to pay that much money for something that's a marketing scam. But one way or another, the character has a long, rich history. So does Big Barda. So does Valkyrie. And I'm hoping. I mean, I will scrutinize this, but I'm hoping. The title says Big Barda, Ms. Marvel, Phoenix, the Savage She-Hulk, Starfire, and Valkyrie. Can't help but notice that's only 2 DC characters, and it leaves out a fairly prominent female superhero or two. But that's okay. That's all right. I don't know anything about this magazine. I wonder if it still exists. Is Back Issue magazine still in print? And do they hire reviewers? Perhaps. Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much, the person who sent this. That is wonderful. All right, and now we move on to the box. We'll finish out this mail haul with a box, and I think the box is also from one of you. So let's see what we have here. Let's see. Do we need the trusty scissors? Can we raccoon our way into this thing? I have a pair of scissors here. I had a pair of red scissors right here by my head, and I was using them yesterday to cut construction paper, and they broke. It just broke. Oh, baby, what are you doing? You want this box? You can't have the priority mail envelope. I'm going to try and salvage it. You can have the box if you want it, if I can get it open. It is packed to a fare thee well. Isn't this terrible? All right, let's try this. I'm avoiding using these because I don't want these to break either. I don't want these to break as well. I'd be down a pair of scissors. Let's see if this makes it any more openable. Okay, this is. I am very grateful, but this is not necessary. This is not necessary to do. It's only on TV commercials that these things are being handled by a gorilla. In real life, they're handled by ordinary people. What have we got here, baby bean? Huh? What have we got here? Are you going to want to destroy this box? You are. Oh! You can't have anything else, baby girl. Oh, that's right. Oh my. Oh, talk about squeal worthy. Ah! Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my. Okay. The first thing is this is a great book, and it's in a UK edition that I didn't know existed, and I love it. I love it. This is Post-War by Tony Judt. This is his great book on Europe in the wake of World War II. And there's a wonderful note, and that is fantastic. Look at that. It's brand new. And that would have been fine, but this person, the sender of this, I cannot thank you enough, went above and beyond, because not only did I get a bookmark with a tassel, but it's got holographic sharks on it. Oh my. There are hammerheads and great whites. I don't see any tiger sharks. Oh yes, I do. There's a tiger shark as well, and blue sharks. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, that is fantastic. All right, well, that was quite the mail. So I guess we'll do a Steve Pyramid here. It all seems anticlimactic. We've got the Brink about the bridge and tunnel crowd. We've got The Stakes 2020 about Donald Trump in 2020. We've got Night and Day by Virginia Woolf in a very attractive new trade paperback coming out in July. You can just pick it up in your bookstore. The Story of a Goat. And After the War, a new novel from Europa Press. Then we have also a vintage trade paperback of Post-War by Tony Jute, and Back Issue Magazine, all about the femmes fatale of the comic book world, or some of them anyway. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, Steve is well pleased, so I'm going to wrap this up. Oh God, this has gone long, hasn't it? Oh my. Well, that's what you get with a Trump digression. I'll try to keep those under control. I'm going to wrap this up and go bask in my goodies, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.